It's AP Literature season again, and today I am going to show you how you can answer any one of the essay questions on the AP Literature exam with only 4 steps. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens. I'm a teacher and author, and this is English Nerd. So I taught AP English Literature for 10 years, and so I have a pretty good grasp of the AP English Literature exam. There's the multiple choice section at the beginning, and then there are the essays at the end that constitute a big part of the overall score. So I want to show you how you can answer just 4 questions for any poetry, prose, or open question, and that will constitute good enough analysis to do well on the exam. Obviously, I'm all for doing good analysis for the sake of the skills and the understanding and all of that, but with the exam right around the corner, it's important that you know how to leverage those skills in a way that's going to translate to a good score. So like I said, just 4 steps, 4 questions that you can answer that will show off your analytical skills. So the first question you want to answer is what? This is the observational part. What happens in the story? What do you observe about that? What rhetorical devices are there? So this is just the, what is there? What do you observe? Portion of the analysis. For the poetry, for the prose, especially, it's important to read it through, understand what's happening, what it means, just on a surface level, as much as you're able to do, and then start observing those other elements that you know to look for, like alliteration or allusions or analogies or those other things that start with A. So what? You want to gather up all of that what. The second question you want to answer is why. Why does this story use so many rhetorical questions? Why is this poem one sentence? Why is this analogy employed? So start theorizing why that is used. Maybe you've noticed that there is a lot of alliteration using S's and TH's and these very soft hushing noises. Great, okay, why? So start theorizing about that. Once you have a theory, you're on to question number 3, and that is, how do you know? You don't want to do that English teacher thing where you kind of make up like, well, the banner is blue because of the blue of tears, but you need to be able to back this up with something else in the story, or just the shape of the story itself, or the fact that we have another analogy doing the same thing later on, or something. So you need to answer, how do you know? How do we know that you're not just making something up, but instead you can back it up with evidence from somewhere else in the poem, somewhere else in the short story, somewhere else in the novel that you're writing about for the open question. So you have what, you have why, you have how do you know? And this is, of course, important for yourself as well, just to make sure that you're on the right track and you're not misinterpreting a piece that you've never seen before, because these are high-level pieces. It can be really easy to veer off track, but if you have some corroborating evidence to support that why, then you know that you at least have a good argument. And for the AP English Literature exam, that is what they're looking for. Can you put together a good literary argument that is supported? And then the final question is, so what? All right, so we have the what, we have the why, we've backed it up, we've come up with a theory that we can support. So what? So this is the question that's going to connect whatever observation you made, whatever connection you discovered, to the overall meaning of the poem, the piece of prose, or the novel. So the overall meaning can be very often a message for the audience. Basically, what is the takeaway for the audience? Maybe there's a moral message. Maybe it's just a statement about how, maybe it's good to feel a certain way about a certain topic, and that is the message, is that that's an important topic, and here's a reasonable way to feel. But so what? Why do these observations and connections matter to the work as a whole, or at least the part that you have? Sometimes the prose is excerpted, but everything else should be, by and large, the whole thing. So if you continue to do those, to answer those questions, what, why, how do you know, and so what, a couple of times, then you are on your way. You are on track to create some really great literary analysis. So I'm going to show you some really simple, or I guess quick, maybe not simple, but quick examples of how this can look. So I'm going to start with Valediction of Weeping by John Donne. A valediction is just a poem, a going away poem. So it's someone saying goodbye to their beloved and talking about the topic of weeping. The reason I chose this poem is that John Donne and the rest of the metaphysical poets around the same time are really popular choices for the AP English Literature exam. So if you want to kind of test your skills, then John Donne is a great one to do that with. I've done some analyses of a couple of his poems on this channel if you want some kind of guided practice. Anyway, a valediction of weeping begins this way. Let me pour forth my tears before thy face, whilst I stay here, for thy face coins them, and thy stamp they bear, and by this mintage they are something worth. The stanza goes on, and in the AP Literature practice multiple choice that I've done about this poem, you get the entire thing, not just a few lines, but for the sake of this practice, we're going to just look at those 4 lines. So the what is happening? Let me pour forth my tears before thy face. Obviously this person is crying. For thy face coins them, and thy stamp they bear, and by this mintage they are something worth. First 2 lines are just him crying. Second 2 lines we start to get more figurative. So he's saying, you are the one who is making me cry. So we have the basic meaning there. But then you start observing, just like you do for any good analysis or science project, or really any good academic endeavor. You're going to do a lot of observation. So here we have a lot of roundness imagery, a lot of words that kind of relate to that. So we have tears, we have coins. All right, so we have some what. Now let's think about why. Why might this be? So why are we talking about weeping? Why are we talking about roundness? Why are we talking about money is another kind of analogy that keeps coming up. Money words, coins, mintage. So what do those things have in common? Well, we can start theorizing and saying maybe there's this sense of unity with the roundness. Okay, that's a fine theory. There's nothing to really back it up yet, so you need to go on to that third question. How do you know? We'll save that for now. So there could be something with unity. There could be something with worth, the worth of the beloved, the worth of the act of crying. All right, so you have some potential whys for to answer the questions that came up with what. Now, the how do you know? In order to get the how do you know, you would need to read more of the poem, and we see, I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but we see lots of other images of roundness. We have a lot of completeness kind of language, and so that really backs up that theory that we had. Okay, there's this roundness. Once again, the money comparison could be connected to the worth of the beloved, the worth of their relationship, the worth of his tears. So a little bit more investigation is necessary there to kind of see what is the most corroborated theory that you can come up with for the rest of the poem. All right, let's stick with that roundness, completeness, unity theory that we had from before. Now we go on to that 4th question. So what? All right, so we have all this roundness. Who cares that there's all this roundness? What is the overall meaning? What effect does it have on the poem as a whole. So if you continue reading the rest of Valediction of Weeping, you'll find that the the main narrator of this poem and this person's beloved are so connected on a soul level that if I am weeping, then I'm going to basically what I do is going to affect you, because we are together, we are one, we are so unified that that we probably should stop weeping and instead embrace that unity. So it's not the most eloquent analysis that I just came up with there, but you can see that John Donne is trying to say something about the depth of relationships and the faith that you need to have in them, even if you're physically far away. All right, so we've answered those 4 questions: what, why, how do we know, and so what. Obviously, you need to take the prompt, the AP Literature essay prompt, into account to kind of focus the what that you're looking for. Maybe the question has something to do with characterization. If that's so, then your whats and your whys should line up more with characterization than just being sort of random. But that's it. That is the kind of flow of your thoughts and your argument as you answer these questions. A couple last second tips here. When you are answering what, be as specific as you can. One of the underrated, sneaky tips that you can do to show how you've been paying attention to detail is quote the poem, the text, if it's provided for you, and then quote words or phrases within that quotation to explain why you think that's important, or why you think John Donne used that analogy. So quote the quotations that you use. It's going to be one more way that people can see you're really paying attention to the what, and you're really digging into the why and the how do you know. So yeah, that's just a little freebie there for you at the end. But yeah, you can do this with poetry, you can do this with prose. This is something I would recommend that you practice before going into the AP English Literature exam this May. If you have any questions, please write those down below. Check out the rest of my playlist all about how to ace the AP English Literature exam. I have tons of great tips in there. Otherwise, have a good life, be of good cheer. Don't forget to subscribe for more English nerdy goodness, and I'll see you next time.